devo dire che
Oh, wrong button. See? Told you I was going to screw something up. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the show. Tonight, got Local Prepper on with us. Back, I think it was like a month ago you were on. But tonight, we're going to go over how many bags or supplies is too many, or is that just blasphemy and I should, prepper blasphemy, and I should just punch myself in the face for even saying that. We're also going to be talking about, if you've been watching YouTube lately, you know that, as far as a month ago, we all should have been dead already. So what's going on with that? We went out and got all the supplies, the last second supplies we're supposed to get, and all those things, the most important video you're going to watch all year, those types of videos, which this one is, by the way, the most important video you're going to watch all year. We're going to make sure and watch all the way to the end. We'll show you how to survive a nuclear bomb dropping on your head. It's going to be that kind of show today. But at any rate, we do have Local Prepper back on with us today, streaming on his channels. We're all over the place tonight, all over all of your different channels, my different channels. So if we'll try to get to everyone in the chat. I know Facebook is a little bit weird about all this stuff, but we'll just see how it goes. If you notice anything local, let me know, and I can pop them up on the screen. A lot of people are here tonight. But I know it's only been a month since you've been on, but explain to everybody what you do, where you are, and sort of anything you want to, sell yourself, basically.
Well, I'm a prepper. I've been a prepper since 2008. Let's see, 20 years active duty U.S. Marine Corps, 13 years as a DoD contractor. I've done everything from shoot 'em up, bang, bang to making drones do things people don't want them to do. I enjoy long walks on the beach, and every so often I find unexploded ordnance. So it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. You can find me at localprepper.net or anything with Local Prepper, all in one word. And if you Google that, you'll find me.
Yeah, and I just recently watched one of a little short video you did. I think it was somebody else doing the video, but they were talking about how awesome your channel is and how you're sort of an up-and-comer and things like that. So I was like, yeah, it makes sense. I think I said kind of the same thing.
You weren't supposed to see that. That was hilarious. I stumbled onto it. I literally had to ask. His name is Bobby, but they call him Spags. And I literally had to ask him. I was like, what the hell's going on? So we're going to get together in the month of June, all online, and do it's a game. It's called what is it? Not coincidence or consequences. It's a prepper card game, and you basically get told, hey, so here's the scenario, and then they read it to you and say, what do you do? Jesse has already been warned, or not Jesse, but Spags has already been warned that his answer cannot be shoot them in the face every single time.
Yeah. I watched that. I first turned it on and I thought you were actually doing a live stream with them or something. And then I looked down and it was like 2.5 minutes. I was like, well, this isn't a live stream.
Yeah.
So pretty interesting.
And some people actually thought that, it was satire, but some people actually thought I was being serious. I had to do emails like, dude, everything's fine. I love you. We're good.
Yeah. Relax. Hey, it's Doomsday Podcast said this channel is okay. It's all right.
Yeah. Jester, as long as Jester doesn't go, what's this stream about, man? He does it every single time. He does it to me every freaking morning.
Awesome. All right. Well, like I said, we've got a few different things to talk about. Just general preparedness. I know you've got quite a bit of gear, quite a few bags. I want to talk about a little bit today, sort of not the basic level, but I think a lot of people, when they first get into preparedness or even that first year or so, it's kind of confusing because that's all you hear about is all the stuff you need and all the different bags there are. And it's like, how many do you actually need and all that? So I want to talk about that tonight, as well as some other just general preparedness stuff. But before we get into all that, since today is the last day of Title 42, I know this isn't necessarily a preparedness topic, but I think it kind of is. It goes into the future of the country. I just want to get your thoughts on what you think about all of this that's sort of going on and where this all leads, I suppose, because to me, it's not necessarily the fact of it's not a racial thing whatsoever. It's a fact of who's coming over. And I know it's going to sound rude, but when there's no doctors and lawyers coming over, right? And you've got millions and millions of people coming over the border, and which are all going to be dependent on the United States, the government, basically. It just seems like it's a recipe for disaster, and it's like they've opened up the floodgates. And I know the last couple of days they've sort of battened down the hatches a little bit, sort of a little too late. But what are your thoughts on that and where it leads as far as us as a country who's already seems like we're teetering on the brink anyway?
Wow. Well, it's exceptionally dangerous. It's I've seen coups in other countries, and it always results in violence. There's never been like this calm, we're here to take over coup, right? And what's happening is it's almost like a soft coup. Now, it appears that the government's just out of control. The U.S. government's just out of control. This is one of those typical situations you see in the movies where you got this one guy and he's like large and in charge. Everybody knows that he's inept. Wait, you know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of the young boy who became the king in Game of Thrones, where everything is great. I'm in charge. How dare you question me? Send out my legions to destroy them. And then it's like he completely ignores his advisors and says, this is wrong. This is going to blow up. We know what we're talking about because we've been here for 700 years. And now it's all blowing up. We haven't heard anything. Remember a couple of days ago, it was all about the 1,500 U.S. soldiers going to the border, active duty soldiers. Like, oh, and then they were like, oh, we nailed him. So basically the word went out through the system, and there's like, well, we need all your Spanish speakers. We're going to form this special unit. It's just going to go down, and we're going to process people. They just kind of, they disappeared, we got the state troopers and the National Guard coming out in riot gear and doing drills at San Ysidro. This is all exceptionally bad. Now, at midnight tonight, will they all rush the gates? I don't know. I think a lot of them be sleeping. I think a lot of them would be like, we'll just wait and see what happens. And very quietly today, the administration rolled out a Trump era rule on immigration, saying that if they decide they want to cross the border illegally, then they are not allowed to apply for asylum. But in this particular case, it doesn't really matter because they're going to give them asylum anyway. They're literally going to say, hey, you don't do that. Just go find an ICE agent. There's one in every city. Have fun. That's what they're going to do. And this is going to cause serious problems. We hear about the ranchers on the border states, like right on the border, right? And they're like saying, hey, people are running through my yards. I got my pistol out, banging on my door, trying to break in. Now imagine that by 1,000 times, and somehow somebody thinks that it's okay that because they're just going to like filter out and disappear like all the other illegal aliens that we've now basically legitimized. So it's going to be a very serious issue. Now, me personally, not to go off kilter here, but this is the first I've had a concealed carry permit for years. This is the first time I've actually thinking about like open carry, because I'm just like, they need to understand if you are anywhere near me and you do something stupid, this could be the end of it. And the thing is that people in those parts of the world understand force. That's why they have, elite police squads that are on every corner with submachine guns, because they know if you mess with these people, you will get shot. So I think unfortunately those things could very well happen. Hopefully they do not. So I'll shut up now. Yeah. Hey, Tony in the chat said, think about, and this is what I alluded to earlier, think about the taxes supporting those illegal immigrants. And it's a burden, an overburdened system already. And it's just something, and it's not stopping. It's not like anybody in government, Republican or Democrat, wants to stop this stuff from going on. And I'm all for immigration and all that stuff, but it's got to be to strengthen the country, right? It's got to be, this is just a complete burden on the system. These people aren't coming here
because they can't get a doctors. You know, the doctors in Mexico and Venezuela, they're not coming here. They're staying put. It's the people that can't find jobs there that think they can find jobs here. And maybe some of them can right now. But when you're letting millions and millions and millions in, what happens when they can't? And then, and then our country doesn't have the qualified labor, or maybe AI starts doing its thing and we don't have enough jobs anyway. I just see it just creating a whole lot of issues down the line for this country. Not the most important one, I think, is the fact that it's a burden on the system. And I think the Democrats, I know, want that. They want more people that need them in power. But I just don't think that the government is just the way they reacted to this is typical government, the way they work everything. You know, last minute knee jerk, I guess we got to figure something out type stuff. So they're not going to do anything until it gets so bad that we're all screwed. And like you were talking about, open carrying and stuff like that, where it does get that bad, that, you know, it has to be handled by, I guess, citizens, I suppose, on a personal basis.
Yeah. And, you know, the other thing, too, is it's like they didn't think this whole thing out, because all they really had to do is just see what happened in Europe a couple years ago with their immigration crisis and all these different cities that weren't, you know, that they literally come in and take over. And what basically happens is, I mean, Americans understand that the middle class is being slowly eroded. They seem to be trying to do it as quickly as possible. But when they allow these people to come into the country in such a large amount, you literally just created a large lower class and boosted the people who were in the lower class into a middle class. They literally blew up their own plan by letting these people come through.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, will they, you know, it's really easy to find the interviews on TV where, well, we're not going to do anything because we want to. No one would come to a country and then just start crapping all over it. We want to respect the laws. We want to do things. We want to be Americans. It's like, okay, that's dynamite. And yeah, you started with breaking our laws. Okay. But let's say, yeah, maybe you are fleeing a government, but you know what? That doesn't fly anymore. That doesn't fly anymore. So get in line with everybody else. And then the system itself will crash, you know, inside of a month. We're going to come back in a month and say, okay, so how's the system holding up? Yeah. The bread lines are going to go away. All the food places are going to close up. You're going to start seeing, people robbing grocery stores like they're starting in New York City right now. You know, it's like, who robs a grocery store? You know, they're just seen as targets. They're just a place to go to do something, because these people are not going to be able to. The amount of people that they're talking about coming into the United States, the system cannot handle them. And the system is going to collapse. The government will be saying, we got to spend another $1 trillion here in about a month because we underestimated the problem, you know? So,
yeah. And the fact that, I'm drawing a blank here. I forgot what I was going to say. The fact that they've spent so much time the last couple of years, I mean, forever they have, but they've really ramped up the racist rhetoric the last few years. The fact that they've spent so much time talking about that and making everything racist, nobody can really talk about that situation anymore. So the things that are going on in New York, where basically criminals can run rampant, even in California to some extent. If the situation happens like you're talking about, where that violence and everything does pick up, and I'm not just talking about the immigrants either. A lot of them are really good, just down to earth, you just do my own thing type people. But when things do get that bad, I was talking last night, we were talking about an economic collapse, and I had a really good comment, and I can't remember the guy's name. I wish I could. But he was talking about how the difference between the Depression, that situation, and if that were to happen now, or some sort of collapse, the way society is shaped up, he said, how do you think it would turn out? And you think about that, back then, people were neighborly, right? People were kind to each other for the most part. They helped each other out. There was community. These days, I think something like that, where it was a fend for yourself type situation, that could be, 1,000 times worse than anything that happened in the Depression. What are your thoughts on that, as far as how society is, we're screwed as a society, basically? Absolutely. So it'll be one of these. Yeah.
That's exactly what's going to happen. These, and you got to remember too, between the Great Depression, these people already knew how to survive. They already, they were already used to using outhouses, and half of them didn't have running water, and a bunch of them were still farmers. I mean, they knew how to survive, even if it was just street smarts, knowing where to get the old bread. They knew all these things. Now, dude, unless it's shiny, unless it goes beep boop beep boop beep, they have no idea. Now, is this their fault? No, I don't think it's their fault. I think that technology moves so fast that it just overwhelmed everybody with all the bright and shiny stuff. And everybody's like, wow, this really makes my life simple. We all like these gadgets that make our lives simple, because survival, like during the Great Depression, none of it was simple. They had no tools to make things simple. The simplest thing they had was a plow horse if the tractor didn't work.
Yeah.
So, and living in the city, you see pictures of them. They were either they just were dirty and messy, and their clothes were all torn and tattered, but they survived somehow. I don't know, maybe they had brats for breakfast or something, but they figured it out. But now it's not possible. You're talking about a learning curve that is so steep that the adults, people in their 30s and 40s, are going to try and adapt, but may not be able to, because the old ways, the old infrastructure, not just knowledge, but the old tools necessary to use the old knowledge don't exist anymore. They're antiques that you buy on eBay. So it's going to be a pretty serious problem. It'll be a pretty serious problem.
You put a plow horse in front of 99.9% of the people these days, and they'd look at you like you're absolutely out of your damn mind.
Oh yeah.
Like, what do you do with that? Yeah. But I mean, and it's sort of the things that we do as preppers are the things that, and this is kind of cliche in the prepper community, but the things that they used to do back then are what we try to sort of incorporate into our daily lives, because we know that might be necessary someday. But the vast majority of people just wouldn't have a clue. And that sort of leads to what I was talking about. Who is it in the chat here? I just had him on here, and my chat is scrolling too fast. Charlie, I think, is the one that made that comment last night. I could be wrong, but you're here in the chat, Charlie, so I'll give you credit for it. But I think that leads to the crime and the violence and the people trying to get what they want more so than in the Great Depression, or not even want what they need and not being able to figure it out. And then we're so entitled as a country because everything has been so wonderful that they're going to be even more mad because they don't have the things that they're used to having on a daily basis. And it's just, I could see it, something like that. Even just a crisis level, not even a Great Depression level type thing, could spur a lot of stuff. And I don't know if that would be the whole country or if it would be different parts of the country where those things are going on. But I think it definitely is something. Don't think of it like it's going to be like a Great Depression. I think it's going to be a whole lot worse than that if it does get to that scale.
Yeah, if you live in a city, and if someone lives in the city and something goes down, get out of the city. I don't care if you got a plan. I don't care. Get out of that city. Everything in a city is brought to it by trucks. And when the bad guys figure out they can just stop the trucks before they get to the store, the trucks will stop coming. It's that easy. And I know that's a little apocalyptic, but you have to understand that, 20 years ago, we didn't have criminal intelligence within our police departments. Now it's an actual part of the department. They get briefs from the FBI. They're literally on that level because the criminals came up to that level. You see what I'm saying? And, if you're in a city, get out of that city. I don't care if you got to walk the road for days and drink pond water. Get out of that city because you're going to be a million times better than if you stay there.
Yeah, exactly.
From New York.
Yeah. And then there's the the government aspect of that as well. Of you talk about the criminals, and I'm not going to go too far into all that stuff, but you've got to think about those things as well. And that sort of goes to the whole Civil War conversation I had the other day with it's not going to look a damn thing like the original one did. But again, that's a different rabbit hole. And if we go down all of this stuff, I'm going to have to retitle this show because we're not going to talk about the stuff we said we were going to talk about.
Next time, just title it whatever we come up with.
Yeah, yeah. Just call it a BS session next time with local prepper. I drawn a blank here again. I got to get better at this whole transitioning thing. But yeah, it was just a really good conversation. I thought about that today, and I know you have, with your background and some of the things you talk about on your channel, I just wanted to get your thoughts on how the whole thing is, because again, I don't mind the immigration thing, and I don't even mind, some coming across the border. It just seems like it's on overload, and it seems like it's on purpose, and it just, I just don't see how something like this is sustainable. I mean, you've got the amount of people that have come over this year is larger than the population of some cities in this country, which is just insane. And you factor in years upon years upon years, and it just doesn't seem sustainable for this country. So I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Gotcha.
At any rate, I do want to talk about bags and supplies and things like that a little bit. Watching a couple of your videos, even the one I did last week, or the last time you were on last month, we had a video with you had your masks and everything, and you had like 14 different masks. And in the background of that video, I think you had like 14 different bags stacked on top of bags and things like that. So I wanted to talk about sort of there are bags that you need, and then there are bags that you want, and there are bags that say you upgraded. So like me, I've got probably 3 or 4 that I don't really even use anymore, but I've got my main one, and that's because I've upgraded, or Lisa has upgraded, and we just kind of collect them. But the beginning prepper or somebody that's been doing this even for a year or so, and they're sort of like confused a little bit about, hey, how many do I need that everyday carry bag? Where do I need to take that? Do I need a get home bag? Do I need a bug out bag? Aren't they all the same? What are your thoughts on, yeah, you just had somebody cross your border in the background there.
Yes. Yes.
But what are your thoughts on, like, if you were to give advice to somebody that's just getting into this stuff, is it necessary to have that get home bag along with a bug out bag and along with an everyday carry bag? And just what are your thoughts on all that stuff?
Well, I mean, it really has a lot to do with what your plan is. It really does. It really does.
Yeah.
There was a time where my get home bag was basically a full up inch bag, because getting home was from Virginia to North Carolina, and it was going to take me 7 days to walk there. That was the plan, so I had to have a lot of those kind of things in there. I mean, if you're you asked me before we started the show, one of your questions was, do preppers overthink their bug out bags? And I think that they kind of do. It's not because it's a lack of experience, because it's a lack of planning. Is the bag too light? Is the bag too heavy? Do you have the right gear in it? And God forbid you go off and buy $3,000 worth of the most expensive gear there is, because there's so much out there that is so inexpensive. It's crazy. But you have to understand it's all based off of what your plan to do. The bag has a purpose to get you to a place, and if your place is only a 2 hours walk, then you probably don't need anything other than the basic overnight stuff, as in just in case. There's all those variables that you have to think about. One of the things that I talk about during one of my bug out videos, where I talk nothing about water, is why do you carry so much water? Because it's so heavy. You're right, it is heavy. But there are some spots where I'm not going to be able to find any water, because I've done the geographical or the topo search, and I know that there's no drinkable water for a good 10 miles. And if I have to do that during the middle of the summer, well, you know what? I need to be able to start with water. I don't want to play this game where I'm trying to I've got my water filter, let's go find some water in the desert. People just don't think those things through, because they don't actually do the planning. And then the bags themselves. I always tell people to start with what you think you're going to carry, and then go get a bag for that. Don't buy the bag, because if you buy the bag, you're going to find out very quickly that you keep stuffing stuff into it. And then now you have to take something out, and you're trying to balance that. It's really difficult, So, I kind of break it down into some of the simpler things, like, you've got your typical military bag. That's going to be like an Alice, Molly, a Ruck, those kind of things. Basically big green gear, anywhere from 60 to 120 liters. I've got one of the original British Bergens from the late 90s, and that thing is like a condominium. It is ginormous. It's like, what can you fit in it? What can't you fit into it? But you get to carry that weight, so you better be aware if you go buy one. I think the new ones are only 60. I think the new ones are only 65 liters, so it's not that bad. But with the inch bag, that's everything. That's a combination. Inch, I'm never coming home. Inch, it's like the kitchen sink is going in that sucker. And then you've got what I call the a hiker's bag, or a hybrid bag. That's currently what I'm sporting right now. Where's it at? That's that camouflage thing over there. I actually walk with it every day and try to incorporate it in my workouts. But I call that my hiker's bag because it's nondescript. I do have a cover, for a rain cover, that's camouflaged if I want to disappear. But for the most part, it's just this nondescript gray hiking bag you find in most computer games as a backpack. It's that simple. It's slightly green, but it can hold as much as a standard rucksack, and it's extremely functional. Pouches, and I like my bags to be slick. So if I have to punch into the bush, I don't have all these straps and things hanging off of it, and you won't get caught up on the bushes. And then you've got what I call the survival bag. The survival bag it's like, if you're there's a YouTuber on here. I follow him religiously. He's a really smart guy. I think it's called Corporal's Corner, and he's spent his last 14 years learning how to survive in the wilderness. He can make fire with candy. he can do just these amazing things. He does a video every week. He's awesome. I'm not plugging him, but what I'm saying is, inside his bag is going to be one of those, like either a 511 bag or something that's made out of like 400 Cordura, that kind of fabric. It's not necessarily militaristic, but it is going to be rugged. And then inside of his bag, he's just going to have the 5 C's of survival. It's that simple. He's cutting, combustion, cover, containers, cordage. That's all it's going to, and whatever food he decides to throw in it. That's all that's going to be in his bag, because he plans on being able to survive in the wilderness without ever reaching for his Sony PlayStation.
Well, and that's what Charlie was saying earlier too. It's about the skills too, because the more skills you have, the less supplies you have to carry. Exactly. Yeah. And you did bring up a good point earlier as well too, that when people are sort of confused about, what do I need? Do I need this? Do I need that? It is that, figure out what you're going to need it for before you even figure out what you're going to get. I think is a very good point. And then you can sort of go from there. Yeah. With you, as far as, say you're going to certain places, and you pick the places. I mean, say you're going for a 6-hour trip somewhere close, or you're going, somewhere further. Do you think about the different, would it be a different type of bag, different type of supplies, depending on the environment you're going to? So it's not just one bag that goes for everything, correct? How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, once again, it goes back to the planning. Now, if you've got some place that you've got to walk Dave Canterbury's smart. Thank you, D.A. Kraken. Canterbury is basically one of the gods of wilderness preparedness. I wouldn't even say preparedness. I would just say wilderness survival. Anyway, so listen, if you're just going to start and you've only got a 6-hour walk, it's all about the necessities and not about the comforts. Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have some first aid supplies? Do you have some communication tools? Maybe some navigational aids in case you can't go down the road that you want to go because the illegal immigrants have figured out how to roadblock trucks and you now can't go that way. There's all sorts of variables that can be thrown into it. But you know what? Most of those things will just fit inside of a regular urban style backpack. You could probably even steal your kid's backpack from school and make something, I think, believe it or not, there's a brand of backpack that Walmart sells, and it's for kids. and it's got a 20-year what do they call it? My brain just turned off. Warranty.
Glad it's not just me.
Yeah, it's got a 20-year warranty. You know what I'm saying? Which is pretty good considered kids normally destroy backpacks every year. But yeah, you could just do that, and it's like a little 20-liter backpack that you find in the school section, and you could very easily take everything you need for that 6-hour walk to your house that might turn into a 24-hour walk. You don't have to worry about the creature comforts. You don't have to have a giant tarp and stakes and how to heat water and make fire with rubber bands and stuff like that. You don't have to do that.
I want to see some of these tricks. You've got making fire with candy and rubber bands. I want to see videos on this crap.
What, you've never done that? You're such a noob.
They can see me with a rubber band on a Jolly Rancher or something, trying to get a friction fire going.
Well, that's the trick. That's the trick. I teach you to do that, and then I videotape it and laugh.
I told everyone this is the most important video you're gonna be watching this year. I told you.
Call Canterbury. I can do something he can't.
Yeah. All right. Hey, and with the magic of editing and YouTube, you can make it, even if you can't, you can make it look like you did.
Exactly. Fire.
But I think there's a lot of overthinking it when it comes to bags and supplies and all of that, because there's so much. And as preppers, we love all the stuff. And that's why, sort of going to what you were talking about, if you get this big giant 80-liter bag, you're probably going to end up filling it, because there is, I could literally find enough stuff to fill 2 of those just with the stuff that I have that, I might need this. I might need that. I might need this. I might need that. I can stuff this in there. I got a little room for this. So I think we tend to overthink things as far as bags are concerned, but going down to that smaller level, like you were talking about, is that, think about the task at hand. Think about what you're going to need for a certain situation. If it is a bug out bag that what are you going to be doing with that? Like Kevin was talking about, he's got his van. He lives, he's getting ready to tour the country, the Broken Nomad there with it in his van. So it's basically his little bug out location, bug out bag all in one nice, neat little location on wheels. But think about those situations. Is your bug out bag going to go with you to the back seat of your car on your way to work and then into your work with you? Or is it going to be something that's going to be staying home, sitting on a shelf?
Yeah.
And then maybe that everyday carry, if that's like, I've got this bag back here that I was going to use as my everyday carry. And the fact that I never took it with me when I was supposed to, I was like, I'm not even going to bother with it because I'm not taking it. I'd rather just have my bug out bag that I just throw in the back seat of my truck because I'm used to that.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to use it, it's kind of pointless. So make sure you are using it. And if you're not going to use that bug out bag, get something smaller that you are, because it's better to have something than be left with nothing, I think, anyway.
Yeah, most definitely. I've in the back of my my girlfriend's Explorer, there's like this little hidden hatch, and it's only like this tall and this long. And I found I went to Walmart and I found one of those like strap satchels that goes across you. And it's actually green. It's got a couple of zippers on it. And I just filled it with the essentials. And so that if something goes wrong, at a minimum, she's got that stuff. Be ingenious. It does not have to say U.S. government on it. It does not have to have a logo on it. It doesn't have to do any of those things. It's got to be durable enough to use. If you grab it at the store and you start yanking on the seams and it comes apart, put it down and walk away, because it's not good enough to make your bag out of. But if it does that, then you know what? Hey, you've got a starting point, and you don't have to pay through the nose. Then you just start filling it with the basics. Take your butt to the Dollar Tree. Do you guys know how many the $1.25 store?
Yeah.
A pack of lighters for $1. Let's start fires with a stick. I don't think so. Click. That's the first thing they taught me in the survival course, the first jungle survival course I ever went through. There's like, we're going to teach you how to make fires with a stick and stick and stick. And I was like, okay, dynamite. And then when you graduate, we're going to give you one of these. And he hands you a lighter. And he says, but that's not yours now. Keep it very, very simple. There's just, there's the most ingenious ways to do things that cost almost nothing and weigh almost nothing too. I always caution people too. They never look. It's like they go and buy one of those combat 500 cordial and ripstop super kung fu magic bags, and they start putting stuff in it, and the bag is just instantly heavy. Well, that's because all of that fabric is made out of heavy material. The more durable it is, the heavier it is. You know, that if I go that what is it? That Bergen that I've got is 2.5 pounds all by itself. All by itself. And you're thinking, well, that's not too bad. Yeah. When you start to try and cut weight, try and cut 2.5 pounds and see how far you get. You're basically going to give up water or food or something that has a battery in it or even a cutting tool. You're going to be giving up something that you don't want to give up. So think about that kind of stuff too, especially before you spend a whole buttload of money on a bag that's got a fancy name on it.
Yeah. I think regardless of what, I mean, I'm sure there's some great ones out there, but I think regardless of what you get, if you go like 50, 60 pounds on any sort of bag, it's gonna rip or tear or something's gonna happen eventually just because of the weight in it. Unless you've got some sort of super fancy Kevlar, steel plated bag or something like that. It's just fabric, regardless of how strong it is. So
absolutely. I think the only backpacks that I would say that's not true with, well, it's not completely untrue, is just the old Alice packs. As long as they're not dry rotted, like an Alice pack or an Alice ruck, those things you could just beat. I've carried hundreds of pounds inside those things, and they just keep going. They did have a metal frame, but and that frame would break before the pack would rip. So if you get your hands on a new one of those, that's why I always tell people, it's like, what's the best one? Get that. Get yourself a ruck. And if you didn't know, the ruck is a giant Alice pack that has 3 little slots on the top of it for ammunition magazines. That's how you can tell them apart.
And sort of along that, you had mentioned it earlier with that bag behind you too. If you want to carry 100 pounds, go for it. Yep. But you better take that sucker out, and you better get used to it, and you better understand what your capabilities are going to be with that 100-pound bag. Because if you can't even get to the end of your driveway, you might want to drop some weight. That's all I'm saying.
You should be trained with it. And the other end of that spectrum, I have another backpack. It's made by a company called Z-Packs. It is literally the lightest backpack on the planet. But they tell you flat out, don't put any, it's only rated for I want to say it's like 35.2 pounds. If you go past that, and this pack is measured, the weight of this pack is in ounces. So, and I think they actually have one where they measure it in grams. It's so light. There's nothing to it at all. But if you go overboard with it, then you're just going to, and they're not cheap either. You're probably about $300-400 for one of these packs. So be aware of that. If you decide I'll take your advice and get the lightest pack there is. Well, you're definitely not gonna put 50 pounds in a 10-pound bag, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, exactly. And all of this, I don't know. I'm sure there's people that were listening from the beginning and trying to get a good idea about which bags to use, and we're just talking about them all. But I think it's really you decide, and this goes for preparedness in general, is you decide what's going to work best for you, given your environment, given your situation, all those different things, something that you're actually going to use and commit to, carrying around, doing those things, and just go that route. Forget what everybody else says about you got to have this, you got to have that, you got to have all these different things. And that's preparedness as a whole, not just bags. You get that all the time. And then on top of that, the more you do this stuff, you start looking just behind you right there and behind me right here. You start collecting and getting stuff and getting stuff and getting stuff. And which is all fantastic, but nothing is going to beat the knowledge and the skills. And even like you were talking about, know your area, know where you're going to. Like you were talking about why you carry water. Just that knowledge of what you're going to do in a situation and thinking through those things is probably going to serve you a lot better. Yes, it's going to be great to have that bag with you. But even if you had to ditch the bag or lost the bag or whatever, you still have that knowledge to be able to get through that situation. Yeah. And at least you know what you're headed into. Whereas if you got a bag and you don't know where the hell you're going, somebody else is probably going to have a bag pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So as far as, the same thing, I want to talk a little bit about different preparedness and everything. It sort of alluded to the whole supplies thing, but as far as preparedness, I think it's kind of similar to the bags and everything. With preparedness, you get and again, this is towards that person that maybe has been doing it for a year or so, or just nonchalantly into it. You start reading some of these websites, you watch some of these videos, and everybody's got different advice and how to do this and how to do that. But it really, I mean, there's not a blueprint, right? As far as how to be prepared. There's a core set of fundamentals that I think are important. But after that, it's the same thing that we were just talking about with bags and everything. You really have to define your situation, your family, your health, your finances. All of those things go into how you are going to prepare. What is your sort of, I guess, advice or thoughts on that as far as how things are different for different people when it comes to preparedness? And it's not a blueprint.
Yeah. Well, it once again, we come back to the plan. This is one of the storing water and writing a plan are normally the two biggest stumbling blocks for any prepper. It's like they know they're supposed to do it, but they just don't do it. So yeah. I guess one of the first things I could say is, not everyone's preparedness plan is the same because they have different needs, they have different resources, they have different circumstances. Preparedness plans should be customized to address specific risks and challenges faced by individuals and households. For example, someone who lives in an area prone to natural disasters like hurricanes or earthquakes may prioritize emergency supplies such as food, water, and shelter. And on the other hand, someone who lives in an area with a high risk of wildfires may focus on an evacuation plan and protective measures for their house. Individual circumstances such as health, health conditions, mobility, or access to transportation will also impact the type of preparedness plan that works best for them. And ultimately, preparedness plans should be tailored to the specific needs of and situations of each person or household. It's you got to have a plan. You got to think about your environment. You got to think about, where am I going? What am I doing? Am I going to stay? If so, what is the plan? Do I need to have a call log and start calling all these people so they all know, hey, I'm going to be here? Or is there a plan for, hey, we're all going to meet up at this spot, so when something goes down, everybody calls Johnny because Johnny is the guy who's designated to take the calls, so that everybody gets the information. There's got to be a plan, and if there isn't one, then you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah. I think another aspect of it that's really important as well is just being realistic about things. There's no guarantee. What we do in preparedness is to try to sort of better our chances, to give ourselves the best chance possible. But and your career, your background and everything, you probably know this a little better than me, but there really is no guarantee for any of this stuff. I mean, if a nuke drops in my backyard, it doesn't matter what kind of bug out bag I have, right? And as we get older in age, we're going to have our limitations. Health-wise, we may deteriorate. Family-wise, maybe your family is just fine, but you've got an older relative. Maybe your mom is not doing well; she's got to move in with you, or those types of things change as well. So you are going to have your limitations, and you're going to have to sort of come to grips with the fact that, hey, you know what? This is what I can do. It's possible that I don't survive this because I don't have that. People that don't want firearms, I don't agree with them, but that doesn't mean you can't be a prepper. That doesn't mean you can't prepare. I think there's a lot of holes in your plan if you are that person, but by all means, do what you need to do. The same thing for, older people, younger people, people with health conditions. There are going to be things you just got to be realistic about it and just be okay with the fact that there are certain things you're just not going to be able to prepare for. If the federal government decides to use their full force against us, and I'm talking us as like, preppers or whatever, not a whole lot we can do about that. Saying that would happen, that's far-fetched, but if they're going to be flying F-16s or 15s or whatever and, launching missiles, not going to do much against my little Smith & Wesson.
Yeah. Well, I don't worry about things like that. There's a lot of people forget, and this will take us off in left field. So I'll say it, and I guess we'll be done with it. But it's the U.S. military, regardless of what generation, what letter we attach to them, took an oath, and the last thing they want to ever do is to have to go up against the citizenry. They know it's wrong. It's beat into them in their boot camp, recruit training, service training, whatever it may be. It's beat into them that they are the protectors. So it would go against their moral values, regardless of if they were dirtbag privates or 20-year veterans. I don't worry about things like that. To what you said about people that don't want firearms to be part of their preparedness lifestyle, I say that's dynamite. But you know what? When the stuff goes down, you're going to want to be our best friends. Yeah, and that's the way the world works. You have the citizenry, and then you have the protectors. That's the military and the civilians. You know what I'm saying? The police and the civilians. You know what I'm saying? There's a structure that's already in place. And the people that don't want firearms are definitely going to be want to be friends with the people that do have firearms. Yeah,
absolutely agree 100%. Yeah. Scott said in the chat, you said, what did he say about firearms? I wasn't saying that you don't need them. I don't want to make it seem like I was saying that. But Scott. I was just saying, you do you, I'll do me. I choose to go the route that I'm going because I do see that there are just a lot of situations where I think something like that's the whole Second Amendment thing. Not even a prepper thing. That's the whole Second Amendment thing where it's just there are a whole lot of situations, however unlikely or not, that could arise where that is something important, hopefully that you never need it, but something that you should always be able to have just in case. That's my thoughts on it. So, I don't even know where we were talking about different types of preparedness and all that. And then we sort of went down that rabbit hole, but it is true. And I use that as an example because I don't necessarily see the government, and I'm going to go, you started this rabbit hole and I know you didn't want to go down it, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit too, but I don't see it ever going that route because the government doesn't want to be in that position to have to, I mean, they want to weasel around stuff and they want to do things shady like they do all the time anyway. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to be in the position, and especially the military, when you think about them, in the position to have to do something like that because they want to maintain their power. They want to maintain what they have, the status quo, and they want to, just have things go the way they're supposed to go. So they don't want to do that. And I don't know, it would take something really, really bad to get to that point. And I don't even know that it really would, even a civil war type situation. I don't even know that it would get to that point where it would be military and stuff going against citizens in certain states and things like that. I don't know. But at the same time, you saw things like during the pandemic, police officers in Melbourne, Australia, even out here, doing things that you would have never thought they would do. So it's one of those never say never things. But I think for the most part, I do agree with you as far as that it's pounded into their brains that you are, and they are. They're one of us, basically. Mm-hmm. They're one of the. I think of them as more than just the average citizen because they've, and you've done it too. You, Brian, and everybody. You've chosen to go into that line of work, and I think it just puts you at a lot of people give military vets and all that a bunch of crap because they just don't care. But I think it puts you on a level, takes a certain type of person to make that type of commitment. So anyway, not going to go down that rabbit hole any further. Well, hey, let me close it up for you. One of the things that always bothered me about those police officers in Australia during the pandemic, there was always more citizens than police officers. But they're unarmed. No. See, that's just it. That doesn't matter because they're still police officers. As long as you're not coming at the cop, as long as a mob is not coming at a cop and saying, I'm going to do this, they're going to spray, they're going to hold their shields, they're going to say, stop, stop, stop. They're going to hit you with tear gas, but they are not going to be able to stop a crowd of 100, 200, 300 people. And it always bothered me because the Australians figured it out very late in the game, almost to the very end. You started seeing, before it was, the typical scary stuff. Some guys getting beat up by two cops. Or no, some old lady's getting beat up on a street side by two cops because she's not wearing a mask. You know what I'm saying? And all she wants to do is get them off of her. And everybody's just got their cell phones up acting like idiots.
And then towards the end, it was like, guys, we're coming through here, and the cops are making their police line, and then they're pushing through them. They figured it out. Now, here's the stink. Australia was actually formed, okay, when a British soldier killed an Australian for saying something. He just didn't like what he was saying. So they took the soldier's gun, they shot the soldier, and that's what started the revolution in Australia. That's what freed them, and so that they could set up a government. And I'm like, you guys have come so far from your history that you've forgotten how your actual little country started. It's kind of scary. And it makes you wonder, like, well, I wonder how far are we off? Have we gotten to that point where we're literally socialists and we don't know it? It's hard to believe with the Second Amendment, but yeah, if you remember, that's the last thing they took away from them.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Wasn't Australia, wasn't it basically the convicts from Britain that they sent down to their little island, and that's how it all started?
It was a penal island. They were all prisoners.
Yeah.
And
I'll tell you what, I love all the people from Britain and all that, from England and everything. People are great. But I'll tell you what, the old school Britain, the old school government, they sure created a lot of countries. Got the United States, you got Australia.
Well, they were an empire.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So, but I do tend to agree with you, because I think about that all the time. That mentality that we have, that we sort of had instilled in us growing up, I just don't know that exists like it used to anymore. And it's almost to the point where that whole thing is sort of looked down upon these days, having that mentality. It's almost like if you question the government, if you question anything, it's almost like you're, one of those conspiracy theorists or whatever, and you're not supposed to do that. So I don't think we're, other than the whole gun thing, I don't think we're that different from all the countries in Europe and Australia and things like that. So I think I don't know, though, because I think we sort of have that American mentality still, for the most part, that take no crap type stuff, that mentality that got us all the way from the East Coast to the West Coast, just because we wanted to go see what was there and we wanted a chance to do something, and you're not going to tell us what to do. My hope is that bit of mentality is still left in people here, to where if it did come down to a situation where something like that was needed, that there would be enough. I mean, it didn't take everybody in the Revolutionary War. It was a very small percent,
That's right.
2%, right?
About that.
I just hope there's enough of them, to kind of revive that a little bit, because the way we're kind of sleepwalking into oblivion as a society, and this is sort of the planet, not just the United States, the way we're sort of sleepwalking as a society, just staring into our phones, getting ready to get plugged into the machine and get fed through tubes and crap. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man.
Yeah. I want to taste my steak. Go ahead.
Yeah. And you know what? I'd like to know it actually came from an animal that was, once alive at least, not grown in a lab or something like that. So, all right, we're close to an hour now, and I do want to talk a little bit, because I talked about at the beginning how this was going to be the best video, or the most important video you've ever seen, and how on YouTube these days you see all of these different videos that if you've been watching for any certain period of time, we should have been dead or toast, months ago, or you got to get all these supplies before it's too late, and you go out and buy all the supplies, and it's still not too late. A lot of the fear porn crap that we get inundated with, and it's not just YouTube, it's all over the place. And I think there's a part of that is just inherent with preparedness, because it's what we do. We think about all these bad things. We sort of plan for the event of, or just in case this, or just in case that. But there are, and what's your advice to the people? There are people out there that will, and I'm not going to call too many people out on this, but there are people that sort of take advantage of that. And that's not just the prepper community. That's mainstream media in general and all that. Where do you sort of find that balance point between being prepared for something and falling for something that gets you emotionally tied up in a situation that really doesn't help you as far as preparedness is concerned? What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, this is kind of like you're kind of rolling into my specialty, because I make a lot of videos about the theoretical points of preparedness, but, so that type of content, it's often very conspiratorial, and it's about the end of the world in some way. It's highly addictive, for its paranoia and disassociating side effects, and those big words all mean fear porn. And by the way, I wrote this down. There's a new one called doom scrolling. I don't really understand what it is. Yeah, but it's kind of got my attention. But the fear porn refers to basically mainstream media content and YouTube. There's YouTubers out there that do it too. That deliberately and enticing plays about people's fears about disaster, disease, death. They want you to be afraid of things 90% of the time, either to control the agenda or get you to buy something. And yes, there are media outlets that go beyond information and and alerting the public, because that's really what their job is supposed to be. They kind of go a little too far. Remember that time when we had that thing that we cannot speak of? Every headline or Google search said death toll rising or new infections and thousands of cases or even hundreds of deaths. The media is necessary and important to inform the public and to educate. However, at what point does informing turn into aggressively alarming people? These pitches put people in what they call a fight, flight, or freeze. It used to be fight or flight, but now they call it fight, flight, or freeze response. It activates the amygdala. That's at the very center of our brains. The amygdala is people's minds can only tolerate what it's known as the fear porn reaction for a brief amount of time. And what happens when the amygdala is activated for a long period of time, and what is the psychological effects of this that can have on you and your loved ones? Now, one of the things that I've noticed is the impact that the overuse of media / fear porn, some of the YouTube stuff, has caused real anxiety in those with OCD. Some people know it, but I have a Patreon. I have a small group, and the people that I can tell or have told me that they have OCD, they're really into the fear porn because their brains get locked in on it. And what happens is, in some cases, people are what they call psychologically stuck in those protective behaviors that their amygdala is firing off because of the fear porn. Now, the good news is there's a couple things that we can do. We can help and we can, correct this issue. The first thing is limit consumption. Be an adult, know when to turn it off, And then the next thing is use that time to go outside, walk in the sun or run or exercise, or, it helps reduce stress levels, and they've also done some studies that show that exposure to the sun actually helps with psychological, conditions. And, use your own judgment to protect yourself, as, opposed to unknown reporters in the world, and I will call out old CP because he is the biggest guy on the planet. If you don't know who he is, then, oh, well, he's the biggest guy on the planet. Yeah, I know he's got a business run, but you know what? Don't sit there and tell me about your intelligence sources when all you're doing is going Google this and Google that,
Yeah.
Sell your trash on your own time. Be legitimate. You don't have to do it with fear porn. And for those people that who fall into that, they get sucked into that, just take a step back. Put the phone down. Put the phone down. You don't have to know everything all the time. Pick your time to watch the news of your choice, or maybe watch this news and then 10 minutes of that news, and try to gain perspective, but don't get sucked into it, because every channel does it.
Yeah. And that's really unfortunate with him, because he's really got some good stuff too. And I don't know if, I know it works on YouTube. I know that's why these people do it, because it gets people to react. It gets them to click this stuff, because whether it's that curiosity, whether it's that, I've got to find out why this is so damn important, or even if it's like something like me, and I've done this before, it's like, okay, what kind of BS is this that he's talking about? He's got this important information and this is not just him, this is everybody, but this important information that he just got a hold of that we're going to need to know about, and it's all starting to happen and this and that. And it's like, okay, what sort of BS is this? And it's unfortunate because you watch the video and most of the time there's a brief passing sort of example of what they were talking about, and then they go off on a totally different subject and talk about something different. So it's just, and it really doesn't do any good as far as preparedness is concerned about your personal preparedness, getting all hyped up about this stuff. I sort of think back to the whole Hillary Clinton thing, right? I really wanted her to get convicted. I wanted it bad. And you watch Sean Hannity and you think there's no possible way in the world she can't get convicted. And then you listen to Comey and the way his little spiel, and you're thinking there's no possible way she doesn't get convicted. And then what happens? Nothing. So it's getting you get ramped up on some of these things, bringing this back to preparedness. You get ramped up on some of these things and you sort of lose sight of the stuff that really is important in preparedness. Getting your family and everything ready rather than the stuff that you really don't have any control over. So I think it works, man. I mean, I don't know if it's human nature, like you just went through there quite a bit about all of this. It works on us, and that's what media does. These days, it's not really reporting the news anymore, or so much about reporting the news anymore, but rather getting people to click and getting your certain audience, whether that be Democrats, Republicans, or whatever, far right, far left, your audience to engage with you and sort of. Mm-hmm. Oh, my stuff started freezing up.
Yeah, you just had a hiccup there. I think we're still good.
But yeah, it's something that is, we just need to be aware of. And it's unfortunately there's a lot of people, and it's like I said, not just the prepping community. There's a lot of people that do it. I see it all the time on YouTube. Sometimes I will skirt the line there, but I can't bring myself to title something like "Get this before it's too late," or "If you don't get this, you're not going to survive," or crap like that. I just cannot get myself to write a title like that and then in the video talk about how well, you're probably going to survive anyway, but you got to get this bottle of bleach, you got to get some clothespins, and do a video like that. It's kind of what it is sometimes. Get you all hyped.
I just, and it's like I make money offline, but I try to make it so that it's like a product that I'm actually using. Some of the stuff's boring, but I try to look at it from or try to present it from the perspective of there's things in the world that can go wrong. When you've seen enough bad in the world, then you know that things can go wrong. And it's not about not having what you need when something goes down. It's about being prepared when something goes down. And, it's like, is that just a play on words? No, because they mean something completely different. Words have meanings. I got taught that years ago. And sometimes people forget that. So I just try to I like to present it as, hey, I just found this. I've got a deal for you. I make 32 cents every time you order $5 million from Amazon, because that's the way it is.
Basically,
that's the way it is. My girlfriend is like, I can't wait till you get rich. And I'm just looking at her like, you're going to wait a long damn time.
Yeah. Not happen. Not in the prepping industry. Not going to happen. Yeah.
So,
what do you, I assume you're talking about Amazon affiliate links there, but, for my audience that doesn't know who you are, what do you have? Like, I know you've got a couple different groups or something like that. You've got your website. Do you actually sell physical products, or what do you do?
No, I don't. What I've learned to do is that, I have no interest in a brick and mortar business because it's just too expensive. And in this day and age, you're going to get everything from Amazon anyway. So, basically what I will do is, I used to reach out to companies and say, hey, listen, I really like your product. If you send me one, I'll show it. I'll make a video of it, and then if it's really good, then I'll endorse it. I'll be like, hey, if this thing kicks ass, we'll do more videos about it. I'll provide links, and now after a couple of years, people are reaching out to me saying, hey, we really like what you're doing. Could you make a video for us? Here's the product. And Now, sometimes this blows up in their face because I have done several videos about, guys, it's really cool. Thank you, company X, Y, and Z, but do not buy this thing, So I kind of do it from that perspective. That way, it's on my website, localprepper.net. Shameless promotion. I have a section there for trusted products. These are all products that I actually own or I've tested. These are products that I actually endorse. I'm not just selling them because I feel like it. In fact, I just stopped working with the largest freeze-dried emergency food company on the planet because they decided that they weren't interested in doing things in a better way. They wanted to continue to sell their product in their particular way that nobody. Hey, listen, if you want to buy this kit, it's like $500, or you can go with this other company that I'm working with now, Wallaby, and buy little pieces here and there. Buy what you want. Buy what you can afford. You know what I'm saying? Then you throw a discount at them, and it's all honesty. Hey, listen, this is better than that because of these three particular things. And oh, by the way, write this word in that box, and you get to save $10. It's really very simple, and that's kind of my business model. Just testing things, using things, showing things, and if they like it, they're adults. It's their paycheck. They can spend their money the way they want to.
Yeah. That's kind of why I've got a wholesale relationship with Legacy Foods as well, because I love the company. Amy Hannes, I don't know if you know who Rob Hannes is or not.
No.
He's an old school prepper guy, but just really good people, really down to earth, almost they're getting kind of big now, but sort of a family run type thing.
Yeah.
Really good quality, really good food as far as, dehydrated food goes. But yeah, I agree with you with all of these different things. If I've got people that I'll do a review and it's like, hey, I'm going to do an honest review. And for the most part, the products, I'll know before I even commit to something that this is probably something I'm going to like and something I'm going to do a review on. But if it's, I've had some water filters in the past that were just, I can't recommend crap like that. So it is. It's cool for those people that are listening to the show, maybe listening to the podcast, to get these ideas from people like you and I that have actually tested these out, that have done this stuff, rather than some of the people you go onto Google and who knows who wrote that article, giving you the bullet points that they basically just grabbed off of Amazon and threw in that article for you. So you do get that perspective. As well as you're pretty approachable. I mean, you're on YouTube and answer comments and things like that. Somebody does have a comment or a question about a certain product or certain food or anything like that. You can give them the answer to the best of your ability anyway, and you're going to be honest about it. And I think that's what's, I think that's what's important these days, and it's missing a little bit because everything's just about sell, bottom line.
Yeah, I'm not going to get rich, and I'm not going to make. Honestly, I don't make squat. But hey, if you want to send me some free food to tell you how bad it is, that's your business. Yeah.
I tell you what, getting into preparedness is not the niche to get into if you're looking to get rich.
You're never going to get rich.
Yeah.
Doesn't Canterbury live out of the back of his Jeep?
Well, you know what? There are some of those outliers. I mean, Canterbury's been on TV. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff, so I'm pretty sure he's doing okay.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
He's got his own product line, and but I doubt if I'm going to ever have a product line, and I doubt if there's ever going to be a local prepper bug out bag preparedness kit.
You
never know. Never say never, though, I guess. Hey, you mentioned Wallaby. They sell long-term food storage, the actual food?
Yeah. Number 10 cans.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Because I use their bags all the time. I didn't know they had food.
Oh, you know what? It's not Wallaby. It's Augustin Farms.
Oh, okay. Augustin Farms, yes.
Farms. No, they don't sell food. They just sell that. Hey, if you do buy anything, that's girls talking here, but if you do buy anything from Augustin Farms, buy their bag sealer. It's a game changer. Absolute. All you do is just put the bag in it, go burp, and it's done. You're not going to play with an iron. Don't buy that little iron that anybody tries. I don't even care if Wallaby tries to sell you. Do not buy that little hand iron, because all you're going to do is burn your hands.
Yeah, the crimper and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've learned my lesson after, a decade plus doing this stuff. I've got one of those impulse sealers, and it's just like done.
Exactly. You're done. We're done. No questions asked. It's sealed.
Augustin Farms is fantastic stuff too. My wife loves Augustin Farms. We've got a whole bunch of number 10 cans up here of just a bunch of different stuff. And while like Legacy Foods is good, it's the prepackaged meals and things.
Yeah.
Augustin Farms is fantastic because it's the ingredients that you need. So if you need biscuit mix, if you need flour, I suppose if you're going to spend money on a number 10 can of flour, I think you're wasting your money, but you can put that in a 5-gallon bucket. But macaroni and cheese, I mean, so many different things that Augustin Farms has. They're a fantastic company. What was your website again? Do you have like an article where you talk about some of that stuff, or a?
No, people have been asking me to do that for a long time, but honestly,
have they? And you still haven't, huh?
There's no time in the day. I keep telling. I mean, so my Patreons get a video from me every single morning, and I tell them what I'm going to do. And for the past 3 days, I tell them I'm sitting on the couch. I'm still bagging food up. I'm still doing things. But it's just about the honesty, and you can't prep every single day. So I've actually thought about writing a book, but because I do a lot of writing. Like all these notes. It's like you found Grandpa's journal from World War II, where, it's just piles of journals. That's kind of like what my computer is, and maybe taking all of that and creating a book with it. But I got too much other stuff to do. It's just what it comes down to.
Yeah, I hear you. The one-man band thing is pretty tough.
Yeah.
You got 50 ideas, but only 2 arms to do it all with.
Yeah. And there's only 24 hours in the day, and I like sleep.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I think we are going to get out of here tonight. Appreciate you joining the show tonight. A lot of cool different topics we talked about. I think we basically got into everything that we were supposed to. So that's cool. One more time, let everyone know. And I will make sure when I put this out as the audio podcast, I'll make sure and leave the links in the show notes and everything. But just let everyone know what you're doing, where they can find you. You mentioned, I think last week, you have a Discord channel as well. I don't know if that's a channel or a room or what they call that.
A Discord it's a chat. It's like a chat program on steroids. There is a Discord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you want to find me via Google, just type local prepper, all one word. I'm the only one that'll pop up. If you can't figure that one out, go to localprepper.net and you'll find everything you want to find out about me. And on both the localprepper.net as well as the Linktree, which I don't know how to say that address. Just scroll to the bottom. You'll see Discord. Click on that and make a little Discord profile, and you'll be in the general Discord. It's pretty neat. It's right now there's about 15 or 20 different channels within the Discord, all broken into different sections. Of live streams, videos, priority messages, communications, canning and banning, training, coupon, gear, sales and deals, gardening, weather and space, homeschooling, prepper, movies, and even spot for fun. But I could go on, but this isn't my channel.
Yeah. It sounds pretty cool though. Actually, I might have to check that out. It sounds kind of like a forum. Basically,
it is. It absolutely is. You can. I'll get you a link, and you can drop in and look around. I have lots of other YouTubers that are inside of Jester's inside of my Discord. Spags is inside of my Discord. There's a handful of others. All these crazy people that make half the crazy people and that are making all these crazy things they're in the Discord. I tell people all the time, get in there and be active. Because here's a unique thing, and I'm not trying to sell it. It's the only place that I know of where you can post a question and somebody's going to answer it. You don't have to look for it. You don't have to guess. And these people, especially if you catch somebody who's on the inner circle, these people know what they're talking about. I have one guy in my communications section, and this guy, if you ask him the wrong question, he's going to give you a digital dissertation of radio wave propagation until your eyes bleed. You know, that's how much knowledge is inside this Discord, and it doesn't cost anything. It's free.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. I will have to check that out. And maybe if you don't mind, maybe I'll even put the link in the show notes as well. And, you know,
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Very cool.
Very
Very cool.
cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, everyone in the chat today, appreciate y'all joining in. A lot of people, a lot of new people that I haven't seen before. So I'm sure there are a lot of people from your channel. But I do appreciate you coming on today. We will have to do this again in the future. I don't know, maybe another month or so or whenever. Maybe I go on your channel, even though we're both kind of on each other's channels. But I'll go on your channel whenever you want.
I love that.
Yeah, you don't have to, go by my schedule every time.
I'm not worried about it.
But yeah, that would be fun. But everyone in the chat, LP, I appreciate you coming on today. Everyone in the chat, I appreciate y'all joining in today. Until next time, take care and prepare. We'll talk to y'all later.
Bye-bye.